all the process of yogic training and discipline is only an attempt to come out of the pairs of opposites. And by the time the yoga practice is complete, we will understand the whole creation as having pairs but not opposites. We only understand that the law of alternation is working and that we have misunderstood it as the pairs of opposites, that day and night are alternating, and since it is the nature of creation, and since we wanted to understand it in our own defective way, we had to exist in the hell of the pairs of opposites, and that the hell was self-made. That is what we understand after crossing the stage. That is when we begin to practice yama, niyama, etc. That is truthfulness, harmlessness, non-covetedness. Every attempt to practice these virtues neutralizes our polarity, and gradually the opposites are understood as supplementaries, and we understand the artistic nature of the law of alternation. We understand how it is required, without which no existence is possible. Then we understand that our respiration is also caused by the law of alternation. When we are able to know the art of breathing, that is neutralization of the pulsations of respiration, which in its true sense is called pranayama, then we understand that the respiration is also being conducted by nature by virtue of the law of alternation, without which we would have died long ago. So the law which makes us breathe, the law which makes our heart pulsate and our blood circulate, the law which makes us receive food and reject excretions, the law which makes us receive information and transmit information, the law which makes us listen and speak, that is the law that is working through the activity of the fourth ray. So, as we proceed in the path of spiritualism, we will understand how the law of alternation is working. Each of these 7 rays has a different way of its own presentation at the end of our training. In the beginning, we understand something, and in the ending, we understand some other thing. But nature has to force us to do the required thing and not otherwise. Whether we know or not, we have to do the right thing. Whether we understand or not, we have to follow only the path of nature. That's why nature conditions us in the beginning, and gradually it liberates us from its conditioning. And the more and more we come out of self-conditioning, nature ceases to condition us. It makes us understand that the conditioning is only self-conditioning and not the conditioning by nature. The planets also work in the same way. For example, if the sun represents the activity of the first ray, in the beginning he works as obstinate. The first ray, negative aspect of the first ray, will Saturn, continuity of purpose. He is the lord of continuity of purpose, and he is also the lord of laziness. So here he is the lord of good habit. Here he is the lord of bad habit. Habit forming nature belongs to him, and the yoga student makes a positive use of his habit forming nature. Like this, we have the positive and the negative aspect of application. To the first ray, we begin to respond in the wrong way, gradually reap the consequences, gain experience, and begin to respond in the right way. That is how the process occurs. For example, here we find the third ray in the same way. Our intelligence works with quickness by the influence of moon. If the moon is having good aspects in your horoscope, that means you have crossed the first stages of evolution under the direction of moon, and now moon is working as a guide and a helper in your life. If there are bad aspects to your moon in your horoscope, that means you have entered into the occult school of the planet moon with all your defects that come under his purview. That is instability, no continuity of purpose, not sticking to anything, continuously changing. So we have to receive the blows that are given by moon in the form of nervousness, fear, depressions, and sometimes psychosomatic stages and hysterical tendencies, strong likes and dislikes. We have to experience the pain of these stages before we enter into the good aspects. So, when we are being trained in the first stage, moon begins to condition us with the results of our own wrong approach, by which we have the experience of the pain in that line. And then the experience makes us eliminate the wrong way of approaching. So at that stage, moon begins to work as our guide and helper and master. So in a certain stage of evolution, the planets condition our mind and they force us to act in a particular way when our life is most predictable by any astrologer. Gradually, when we fall into the path of probation and when we are nearly approaching the stage of an aspirant, that is spiritual aspirant, then the planets in our horoscope, they do not permit any astrologer to predict incidents in our life. That's why astrology fails many times. It's not the defect of the science of astrology, but it is the defect of the astrologer who understands astrology only for market purposes and forecasting. So when we enter into the second stage of evolution, that is when we are approaching the stage of the aspirant, gradually incidents come beyond predictability. They exist only as tendencies that can be rectified, defects and temptations that could be overcome. At every step, wherever we overcome, that particular incident escapes predictability. And whenever we succumb to our own weakness, that particular event comes under predictability of the horoscope. Same thing with Mars also, when he is working with the fourth ray. We work with the fourth ray with a master called Mars, and then with the third ray with Mercury, because Moon and Mercury have to deal with active intelligence. Remember, according to the symbolism of the scriptures, Mercury is the illegitimate son of Moon. I think you know this story. There was a grand old master who was teaching wisdom to his disciples. He was old in his age and in his wisdom also. His name was Jupiter, and he was having a very young, beautiful and smart wife. That is the human birth. Then a young disciple came to study with that master. He was very quick, agile, beautiful, and his name was Moon. He was studying with Jupiter, and he fell in love with the wife of Jupiter. And as a result of which, they had an illegitimate child called Mercury. This is a story which is given at the time of initiation into the yoga path. Of course, this story has much significance. Every Purana contains this story. I think you know that there are 18 Puranas in Sanskrit. In all the 18 Puranas, this story is there because it is so very important. So, Mercury and Moon are illegitimate father and illegitimate son. That means Moon is the lord of instinctive intelligence. Mercury is the lord of trained intelligence. So now Mercury also has become a master to give us training. And in our horoscope, he deals with our third ray activity. And this old master, Jupiter, he deals with the second ray activity, wisdom. And Venus deals with another of the second ray activity, that is love. So Jupiter is the lord of wisdom, Venus is the lord of love. Both put together, they are the professors of the university which we call the second ray. And Venus has a double role, the role of the sixth ray also, called devotion, which is a safe gateway to liberation. It's called Bhakti Yoga. For example, a husband who does not know anything except being faithful to his wife can reach perfect liberation by purifying his devotion towards his wife. At the end of the training, the idea of wife will be substituted by the idea of God, because the idea of wife or husband or son or father are only substitutes given by nature. They are substituted secrets in Freemasonry. As we go on to the higher steps in our training, these false secrets will be substituted by genuine secrets. Same thing with a wife also. If a wife is fully devoted to her husband, if she does not know anything of the world at all except the husband and what he provides her, she can reach the absolute state of liberation by purifying her devotion towards husband. Same thing with the mother towards the child. Same thing with the son towards the mother or father. This is because of the simple fact that our relationships are only conventional and not real. And they exist only until the training is completed. And nature has a wonderful way of giving training with the help of these substitutes which we call relationships. The purpose of these relationships is only that much. And the purpose of affection and love is only that step after step it leads to the absolute love for the divine. So, the sixth ray activity of Venus is the safest and the surest way of liberation. But for the present, it is gradually fading into insignificance for the present humanity, because the present humanity is not yet fit to receive it directly. It comes once again into prominence after a longer period. In the scriptures, the sixth ray activity is wonderfully represented for us to know the spiritual training through that activity. A person, call him X, is taken as a character, and the attitude of his wife that is required to get salvation and liberation is described. A father to him is described. A mother of him described. A son described. Like this, one person is taken as an example. All the relationships that lead to liberation are described. And this X is what we call in these scriptures Lord Krishna, the world teacher. If you gather all the stories of Krishna from the Puranas, This is the theme you get out of them. For the present, it is enough to remember that Venus is the lord of the sixth activity, sixth ray activity. And finally, Saturn has the lordship over the seventh ray, and Jupiter has a double role. He also has half of seventh ray activity. This is the scheme of the rays and the planets working in nature. And I will explain a little bit about the seventh ray activity of Jupiter and Saturn. No. Here I am dealing with the astrological approach. This approach is not at all given in Alice A. Bailey's book, because it is not at time for us to understand this properly. So, we have to cover much before we understand this. The application given in the esoteric astrology is to understand the cosmological and the embryological scheme. Here, this scheme is how the planets work in our life to stimulate the ray activity and how they lead us to a period of probation. This is not at all given till now. This one is for the evolutionary path, that is the mind, the buddhi, and the life and the physical vehicles. That is for the layers which require evolution, because the higher layers do not require evolution at all. They require only, the higher three layers require only unfolding and not the evolution. Whereas the physical, vital, and the mental, they require evolution. This holds good with all those three levels. Yes, but yes, we have to understand the first 7 basic planets, before which if we go into them, it will be a bit confusing, because Neptune has to conduct the higher purposes of the sixth ray, and Uranus has to conduct the higher purposes of the fourth ray, and Pluto has to conduct the higher purposes of the seventh ray. So, they are higher planets which supplement the activity of these 7 planets. Activity, because those planets belong to the higher initiation. In the scriptures, we have 33 planets in all, but we are expected to understand the first 7 planets as one group, and then 12 planets as the second group, and then 24 planets as the third group. Like that, we have to proceed in groups of planets. So, this is the basic keyboard which has come down from the ancient scriptures and the masters, and which has come down to traditional astrology a little bit. This is the link between the traditional astrology and the esoteric astrology. So, a few words about the seventh ray activity of Jupiter and Saturn, which is most important. Seventh ray, the role of Jupiter and the role of Saturn. The role of Jupiter is how to do. The role of Saturn is how not to do. So, the first is called guidance, the second is called discipline. Unless we follow the first, we do not have results. We have a good kitchen, we have good materials in the store, there are many legumes, there are many food materials, but what happens when the cook is a fool? If we go to the store or the kitchen and begin to eat potatoes, it's no food. Though it has food value, we get sick. So, suppose we eat some coffee powder and then drink some hot water, but we have a procedure to prepare coffee. You have to follow the procedure exactly in the same way. You have to take water in a container and put it on fire. You should not put water on the fire. So, these two aspects go together. There is a law and a procedure existing in nature. Whenever we do something, we have to do only according to that. And when we are not there to do it, even then the procedure exists in the same way. For example, when a kitchen is very well equipped with everything, with cooking machines and sophisticated equipment. Even when there is no cook in the kitchen, when it is under lock and key, all the potentialities of the kitchen are there. When a good cook is there, then there is the manifestation of the potential. Like that, there is the application of a plan. The application belongs to the first ray activity, whereas the plan belongs to the seventh ray, and the discipline required belongs to the Saturn, and the result of the discipline, that is the right way of doing, belongs to Jupiter. For example, if you arrange a magnet and a few pieces of machinery in a certain way, then there is the production of electricity. On what it depends? It depends upon the magnet and other pieces of machinery, but it equally depends upon the arrangement of things you do. Only one particular arrangement is required to make the electricity manifest. That arrangement of things belongs to the seventh ray activity, and Jupiter presides over the arrangement of things in the world. When more than one thing is assembled together, the synthesis makes a unit of something which is new. For example, if you assemble some wood and something soft here and some nails which are made of metal, there are three different substances that are used in this, but you made only one item which you call chair. The chair is not a single item, but it is the resultant of three things. Similarly, your constitution is not a single item, it is a resultant of millions and millions of existences. Mr. So-and-so is singular number, but in reality he is not singular in number, he is a composite whole of many millions of existences. Just as we say, here is a restaurant. Restaurant is singular in number, but it is made up of many people. So, this is what is called the assemblage of parts to make a whole. The how to do it belongs to Jupiter. So, the positive aspect of spiritual discipline and the unfolding as a result of that discipline belongs to Jupiter, whereas submitting ourselves to that discipline and taking care not to have any mistake, that belongs to Saturn. The discipline aspect belongs to Saturn, the revealing of the plan belongs to Jupiter. Both put together form what is called the seventh ray activity, that is making the parts into an integral whole. This is the meaning of the word ritual in its true sense. And any center where a training is given for ritual activity is called a temple. This is what I explained under the heading the mystery temple. When the training is given for some machinery, we call it a technical center and a workshop. When the training is given for the use of our own machine and its fitness in the whole creation, the process is called ritual. For example, Freemasonry, etc. This is the activity of Jupiter and Saturn. This is what is called seventh ray activity or magic, ceremonial magic. Do you know how the word comes to existence? Can anyone tell me where from the word magic comes? There is a constellation in the zodiacal path which at present exists in the sign of Leo. That constellation is called Magha, and there is a big star in that constellation, and that star was called Emperor Magus. Magus. He had a crown which included 9 gems, which are the potencies of 9 numbers. So, after that constellation, the word magic comes. In Sanskrit, the word Magha means also a ritual, which is also a sacrifice. Sacrifice never means sacrificing an animal or a beast or a human being. Sacrifice means self-sacrifice, or what we call the 6th ray activity or devotion. That is offering one's own life activity to God. When a ritual is conducted in that sense, with the 6th and 7th ray activities, the power of that constellation will be inherited by the fellow. There will be an expansion of consciousness, and automatically the cosmological and the microcosmic keys are revealed to him. That's why any piece of ritual which forms an imitation of something happening in the creation is called magic. For example, if you take the sunrise and the sunset and the noon and make 3 people sit in 3 positions and conduct a drama, it forms a ritual. That is what we find in Freemasonry, etc. So, imitate any part of nature's work and make it sacred. Try to perfect your procedure day by day and make a mental offering of the results to the humanity at large without keeping to yourself. Then it is called magic. Now once again I wish you read the book Treatise on White Magic. This in short is an introduction about the 7 rays. We will meet again and continue the subject when the higher forces permit us to meet. Thank you all.